All right, welcome back, everybody. It is week 14 of the NFL season. This is going to be another shortened show. McLovin comes back from vacation tomorrow. Obviously, we're not going to have time to film the show tomorrow because he's going to get back right around the time that the game starts. So we're going to get this done right now. And let's go right on into it. So last week, let's talk about how everyone did. Last week, against the spread, we both went 9-7, me and McLovin. So the updated standings there, McLovin 92, 93, and 7. He has a one-game lead over me at 91, 94, and 7. And then for picks, we both went 12 and 4. So that's the third week in a row, I think, that we've stayed stagnant. I'm now 116 and 76. I'm 9 games behind McLovin at 125 and 67. Yes to anything that is cool, awesome. Last week went 12 and 4. Dan McLean went 12 and 4. CV Gunn, you went 13 and 3. You win a gift card. Vadix 10 and 6. Lev Maker 11 and 5. Cali Guy 11 and 5. And Steve Goldman 0 and 16. Again, he did not put his picks in. So the updated standings there. There is a tie for first between Yes to Anything That Is Cool, Awesome, and CV Gunn. They're both 126 and 66, and they lead the entire league, a game lead over McLovin for the overall shebang. Third place, we have Dan McLean at 121 and 71. There, he is 5 games behind. Fourth place, Lev Maker at 119 and 73. He is 7 games out. Fifth place, Vadix at 115 and 77, 11 games out. Sixth place, Cali Guy at 110 and 82, 16 games out. And last place, Steve Goldman, 83 and 109, 43 games behind. Now, in the second tier division, we have Goldilocks, Jennifer Lynn, 13 and 3 last week. She also wins a gift card. She is now 84 and 47. She's running away with that 3-team division. Dennis Ramirez went 9 and 7 last week. He is 73 and 73 and 58. He's 11 games out. And then last place, Blake Rios. He went 10 and 6 last week, but he's at 68 and 63. He is 16 games out. So, congratulations to CV Gunn and Jennifer Lynn. Let's get McLovin on the horn. Let's go right on into the massive story that is going all around, is that Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese have been fired from the Giants. Steve Spagnuolo is taking over. Hi, what's up, McLovin?
Hey, how we doing?
Good. So we're just talking about. Let me just finish my my heading here, and then we'll go into last week. I'll fill you in on last week's performance. But Spagnuolo's taken over. They have named Eli Manning the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, and rumor has it that they'll be looking to. Spagnuolo will not be the head coach next year. He may stay on. May stay on as whoever takes over. May stay on as a defensive coordinator, but we'll see what happens. But last week against the spread, we both went 9 and 7, and you're still a game lead over me. And last week for the picks, we both went 12 and 4. You're still 9 games ahead of me. And Yes to Anything That Is Cool, Awesome, and CV Gunn, they are tied for first, not only for their own division, but they still have a 1-game lead over you at 126 and 66. You are 125 and 67. And the only people to win gift cards last week were Jennifer Lynn and CV Gunn. They both went 13 and 3.
Jennifer Lynn's been, she's, hats off, she's really done really well this year.
Yeah, 84 and 47. I mean, you can't go wrong there. So.
No, and that's, I don't know how many female subscribers we have, but, great job.
So let's talk about McAdoo. I listen, we both listen to Mad Dog Radio, and the other morning on Morning Men, Evan Cohen thinks that it was a conspiracy to fire McAdoo and Reese, and the reason there was a conspiracy to fire him was because Mara knew that when McAdoo took over, he was not a fan of Eli Manning. This is, again, hearsay. This is not factual. This is just what he believes is going on. So because McAdoo is not a fan of Manning, and he knows that, and the way the team is going, especially with the injuries, McAdoo or Reese or both went to Mara and said, we want to get a look at the other people. Now, knowing that there would be an outcry and everything else, I think they think that Mara just said, okay, I'm not going to win the battle here, but I want to win the war. So I'm going to suicide myself for a week or two, and it's going to be ugly. But with the backlash that I know will happen, knowing that McAdoo is a horrific communicator, and knowing that Reese is just a muppet just sitting there, I know that there's going to be outcry, and then I can look like a hero somewhat by firing both of them. Because I don't want to, I mean, he has more of a relationship with Reese, I think, than he does with McAdoo because of the Super Bowls that Reese brought to the Giants as far as building the teams. But so it's an easy way for him to still look like roses coming out of this. And everybody can say, well, the reason why he didn't do anything earlier is because he's never interfered in a season. It took a lot of balls for him to interfere in something he never does, and blah, blah, blah. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I have, these are my thoughts on the whole big picture here. So when you look at the Giants as a franchise, okay, they have won 2 Super Bowls, under the Eli Manning era, and the reason why those 2 Super Bowls are more meaning than anything else is that they knocked off the New England Patriots with 2, big, David Tyree and then Mario Manningham on the sideline there. And granted, Eli played extremely well, especially in the first Super Bowl. I remember watching the NFC Championship game against San Francisco when San Francisco had that defense, and Manning played probably, if not the best, game of his life. One of the best games of his life, and I think prior to that they went into Green Bay, and that's when Coughlin's face was like frozen.
Yeah, he looked like a frozen leprechaun.
Yeah, frozen leprechaun. So, with that being said, Eli Manning, always will pale in comparison to his brother, but at the same time, Eli has always been a notoriously better quarterback in the playoffs than his brother, and we all know the Manning saga. We won't go into that. My biggest problem on the entire situation here is Jerry Reese. And the fact of the matter that Jerry Reese, he was a GM for those 2 Super Bowl championship. But the guy who really was the guy underneath it all, which a lot of people don't know, is this guy named Dave Gettleman, okay, who was a pro personnel guy. He and Dave Gettleman ended up going to Carolina, and then obviously he got fired this year. But I think Reese, he should have been fired 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years ago. If you look at this Giants team as a whole, over the last 6 or 7 years, they've been absolutely terrible. Okay, I mean, absolutely terrible. The thing when the Giants are bad, they're atrocious. They're really bad. When Eli's bad, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. As far as this season goes, I mean, coming off last year with 11-5, they make the playoffs, and they really didn't do much to improve their team, especially in the offensive line. In their running game, and their defense is old, and I think there's a lot of problems that went into this, but obviously the quarterback is the guy that you look at. I think that Eli deserved to get benched. I think he's had a terrible year, granted with all the injuries and everything like that, but you look at a lot of other teams in the NFL who've had injuries, and when you look at a team that has injuries and then, can't find guys to replace them, that falls head on top of the general manager. You look at a team like Dallas, who 2 years ago when they had Naromo went down and they were shuffling quarterbacks, they were done for the year. If you look at a team like Dallas this year who has Ezekiel Elliott down and now they're scrapping to make the playoffs, there's teams out there that don't do a good enough job, like the Patriots do, who have people step up and they don't skip a beat. And that all falls down on the general manager. I think Eli, the whole benching thing with Eli, he deserved to get benched. I mean, I don't think there's anyone out there that can say that Eli deserved to keep his job. But as far as the whole saga goes, I think McAdoo has kind of been the guy that's been thrown under the bus. He's a head coach. He's in New York. He didn't handle it properly in the media, and he got railroaded. As far as going forward, I think they're going to throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at Nick Caserta and then Josh McDaniels to bring them. But with all that being said, I think that if this wasn't Eli Manning, if it wasn't the New York Giants, if this was another team, then it wouldn't be such a big saga. But I don't think Eli Manning's a good quarterback. I don't think that Jerry Reese, I think he was there for way too long. But, we'll see what happens going forward. That's my take on all that.
All right, so let's go into Week 14.
Well, another thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you saw the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game.
No, I didn't, but I heard about it. And then, so Vontaze Burfict messes up Shazier, right, or something? Or whatever happened?
No, so in the first quarter, Ryan Shazier, who was this guy's no choir schoolboy either. He comes in and he makes a tackle, and I think he's paralyzed because nothing's come out yet.
No, he said he was fine. They said he was fine. They said he was fine in the hospital.
He's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway, so then in the third quarter, and I love this play, and maybe people get mad at me for it, but it was a crackback block, which if everyone remembers Hines Ward, who was notorious for it. Juju Smith-Schuster came out of nowhere and just flattened Vontaze Burfict, and I was actually clapping for it. I think Vontaze Burfict's a criminal. I think what goes around comes around, and I was happy to see him being carted off. And then the last play of the game, the last touchdown of the game, the kid Smith is Sue something, whatever. Helmet to helmet on Antonio Brown. But I think, this on top of what, the Gronkowski thing, which is going to hurt me because I have my fantasy playoffs coming up and I have Gronk, so I'm screwed there. But, it's just, and I don't know if you caught much of the take on, what really got me steamed up was, I don't know if you heard Stephen A. Smith, in regards to
Brady. Yeah, I did.
Brady and he said that's racial.
Correct, because if Brady was black, everybody would be screaming and yelling at him. But because he's white, he was able to get away with the outburst on the sideline.
And then Michael Wilbon making the comment that Gronkowski intentionally went after the defensive back there because the defensive back was black, and it's just like, if you look up all the NFL teams, there's not one single white cornerback, and I'm just getting sick of this race. These African American, people who cover sports can come out and automatically, throw the race card out there, and no one can say anything to them because then it's reverse racism. But that's pretty much all I have to say about those two areas.
Well, the good news is Gronkowski appealed. It was upheld. Thank God it was, because correct me if I'm mistaken, but let's pretend for a moment that the process took forever. Okay. And he plays against Miami, and then they upheld the suspension. He'd be out for Pittsburgh, correct?
Well, that would never happen. They do it so whatever the day after they come down with the suspension, and then the Players Association mainly makes all the players appeal it, and then they go on a phone call. Gronk went on a phone call with, I think, Derek Brooks and I forget the other guy, Players Association, or the NFL people who make the suspensions, and Goodell, and I think he pretty much said, it's an emotional game. I mean, the whole play. If you look at the play, I mean, he was getting molested. He was, it was like Matt Lauer running down the sideline. Matt Lauer's, secretary's running down the sideline. The guy's all over him. And Gronk was, he lost it for about 5 seconds. Granted, he could have killed the guy when he did his little nose. Anytime you got Gronk, doing like a jackhammer. But with all that being said, Gronk is a guy who has never been in trouble. He made a mistake, and granted, he's paying for it. At the same time, they usually come up with that decision within the next, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then it's never a situation where they either, make that. It's either the decision is made for that week, especially for times like this where even if he appealed it, the appeal process would be over and done with before next week's game. So I know he's going to be losing out on a lot of bonuses, and I've been reading a lot of articles on that as far as all of his incentives for his contracts. Missing a game like this, I think it's going to cost him like $385,000 or something like that. But in the end, it's better that maybe it's a blessing in disguise he doesn't play.
All right, so let's go into Week 14. We got Thursday night's game. We have New Orleans 9-3, 4-2 on the road, going into Atlanta 7-5, 3-3 at home. New Orleans is favored by 1.
It's going to be a pretty good game for a Thursday night game. I think New Orleans is going to beat them, and so I'll take New Orleans minus the 1.
All right, I agree. Next up, we have Sunday's games. Indianapolis 3-9, 1-5 on the road, going into Buffalo 6-6, 4-2 at home. There is no line at this point.
What did I see it at? I saw it. It was Buffalo -3, I believe.
All right. Well, if we're taking Buffalo -3, I'm obviously taking Buffalo -3.
I think that's yeah. So we'll both agree on Buffalo -3 then.
All right.
That's what I saw on the paper.
Chicago 3-9, 1-4 on the road, going into Cincinnati 5-7, 3-3 at home. Cincinnati had won that game last week. They'd actually be in the playoff picture. Now they're fucked. But Cincinnati at home favored by 6.5.
Cincinnati -6.5.
Okay, I agree with that. Green Bay 6-6, 2-3 on the road, going into Cleveland 0-12, 0-6 at home. Green Bay favored by 3.
Green Bay -3.
Yep. All right, I agree. Oakland 6-6, 2-3 on the road, going into Kansas City 6-6, 3-2 at home. This is a giant game. I don't know why this wasn't flexed, but we'll see what happens Sunday night for Sunday night's game. But anyway, Kansas City at home favored by 4.
Oakland +4.
Okay, I agree with that. Next up, Dallas 6-6, 3-2 on the road, going in to face the Giants 2-10, 1-4 at home. Dallas favored by 4.
I'm going to take the Giants plus the points.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Giants are going to win outright by a field goal. I can see that happening. Detroit,
That's a good call.
Detroit 6-6, 4-2 on the road, going into Tampa 4-8, 3-2 at home. No line on this.
I saw it was Tampa is favored by like 1.5 points.
I'm going to take Detroit plus 1.5.
Yeah, me too.
All right, next up, Minnesota 10-2, 5-1 on the road, going into Carolina 8-4, 3-2 at home. Minnesota on the road, favored by 2.5.
Minnesota -2.5.
I'm taking Carolina not only to cover but to win outright.
No, that's.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. San Francisco 2-10, 1-5 on the road, going into Houston 4-8, 3-3 at home. Houston favored by 3.
San Francisco plus the points.
I agree, especially with Garoppolo start. Oh no, it looks like. Oh no, those are just leaders. Okay, 4:05 game. New York Jets 5-7, 1-4 on the road. I picked them to beat Kansas City last week. I got that right. Versus Denver 3-9, 3-3 at home. Jets are favored by 1.
Jets -1.
I agree. Next up, 4:05 game. Tennessee 8-4, 3-3 on the road, going in Arizona 5-7, 3-3 at home. Tennessee on the road favored by 3.
Oof. Tell you what, Tennessee, they just they're 8-4, right?
As of now, Tennessee I think is facing Jacksonville would be facing Kansas City. I think Tennessee would be facing Baltimore, and I think if the season ended today, Baltimore would rape them. I just have that feeling.
I think so too. I mean, I'm going to take Tennessee -3, but
I agree.
I don't. I'm so iffy on Tennessee and Jacksonville and Baltimore as far as playoff teams go. But
of the three of them, on paper, Baltimore is the best team overall. Jacksonville is a better defense, I think, of all three of them.
Sure.
So who knows? All right, next up, Washington 5-7, 2-4 on the road, going into Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. 6-6, 3-3 at home. What a great job Anthony Lynn has done after starting the season 0-4. It's a tale of two teams, whereas Kansas City started 5-0 and now they're 6-6. But anyway, Chargers favored by 6 over the Redskins.
Chargers -6.
That's a tough one. I agree, but it was a tough. 425 game. Philadelphia 10-2, 4-2 on the road, going into Los Angeles to face the Rams. 9-3, 4-2 at home. Rams at home favored by 2.
This is probably the game of the week, or probably, or the Pittsburgh game maybe. But did you watch the Sunday night game?
Sure I did. Sure I did. Philadelphia got molested by Seattle's defense.
Yeah. I think they had a big thing in the paper about the Rams won't even have half the stadium filled for this game. I think 2 West Coast back to back. I think I'm going to take the Rams.
All right, I'm taking Philadelphia +2, and I'll explain why when we do our picks. Rams -2 for you. Seattle 8-4, 4-2 on the road, going into Jacksonville 8-4, 4-2 at home. Jacksonville favored by 2.5.
I think Russell Wilson is like 12-1 as road, road dogs. I'm going to take Seattle.
I agree. I think Seattle's going to win the game. Baltimore 7-5, 3 at the 8:30 night game. I don't know why they're not moving the only reason I say that is because you got 3 teams tied for first in the AFC West, and Baltimore, they're basically holding on to a playoff spot. This game is irrelevant in my opinion. But Baltimore 7-5, 3-3 on the road, going into Pittsburgh 10-2, 4-1 at home. Pittsburgh at home favored by 5.5.
Well, it's not irrelevant for. It's not irrelevant for Patson. It's not irrelevant for Pittsburgh either. I'm going to take.
No, it's relevant. What I mean is in the scheme of things. Like, okay,
you mean for the AFC North?
Correct. Well, yeah, for the AFC North. I mean, Baltimore right now. Yeah, if they win, they're going to solidify a playoff spot. Are getting towards that. If Pittsburgh wins and the Patriots beat Miami on Monday, they're still 11-2, and then we're getting down to the gritty of Week 15. But my point is, you have more on the line, I think, for both teams in the Raider-Chief game.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why you'd figure that'd be the Sunday night game, only because of the records.
But why don't they should? I would if I were to pick, I would make Philly in Los Angeles a Sunday night game. But out of those 2, I don't disagree. I think obviously they're going to get they're not going to, even if it was flexible, they wouldn't flex it out because of the more people will be watching.
Sure.
Pittsburgh, and just after what Pittsburgh went through, especially with the shenanigans. But I'm going to take Baltimore. I think Baltimore's going to win the game outright, but I'm going to take Baltimore plus the points as well.
All right. I'm taking Pittsburgh -5.5 on this one. And then Monday night's game, you have New England 10-2, 6-0 on the road. I think they're the only undefeated road team. Versus Miami at home, 5-7, 3-3 at home. Their Patriots are favored by 11.5.
New England.
I'm taking Miami plus 11.5. They're in Miami.
I've done that. I went through the last 6 games, and the last 6 games I've gone against New England with the big spreads, and I've lost every single one of them. So I'm going to go I'm going to take New England minus the 11.5.
All right, so let's go to our picks. New Orleans, Atlanta. Who do you have?
New Orleans.
I agree. Next up, Colts and Bills. Who do you have?
Bills.
I agree. Next up, Bears and Bengals. Who do you have?
Cincinnati.
I agree. Green Bay and Cleveland. Who do you have?
Green Bay.
Oh, I agree. Oakland and Kansas City. Who do you have?
Oh, boy. Oakland.
I agree. Dallas Giants. Who do you have?
Giants.
Is that the one that I said I would... No, I don't think it's that one. Yeah, I agree with the Giants. But all right, next up, Detroit, Tampa. Who do you have?
Detroit, Tampa, you said?
Yeah.
Detroit.
I agree. Minnesota, Carolina. Who do you have?
Minnesota.
All right, I'm taking Carolina on this one. San Francisco, Houston. Who do you have?
San Francisco.
I agree. Next up, Jets, Broncos. Who do you have?
Jets.
I agree. Next up, Tennessee, Arizona. Who do you have?
Tennessee.
I agree. Next up, Washington, Los Angeles Chargers. Who do you have?
Chargers.
I agree. Next up, Philadelphia, the Rams. Who do you got?
Rams.
All right, I'm taking Philly, and the reason for that is because I think Seattle's even though the Rams have played well on defense, I think Seattle is just better on defense than the Rams are. I don't really think, as much as this may be ridiculous and not true, and I'm talking out of my ass, I think that the entire Eagles team shit their pants collectively on a Sunday night nationally televised game in a playoff-like atmosphere. I do think because it's a 4:25 game, there's really not going to be any fans in Los Angeles to see the Rams play, and a majority of the people in LA or that are going to this game could be Eagles fans. I know EDP's going to this game. Yeah, so I'm going to take Philadelphia. I don't see back-to-back fucking turds. I think it's going to be close. I mean, Philadelphia's not going to run away with this, but I see Philly winning by seven or eight.
I just interject on the other side. It's very, very, very difficult to play two West Coast back-to-back games, especially after the game they played on Sunday night, which took a lot out of them. I think the Rams are, sleeping in their own beds, and I think with Philly being out of their home for 2 weeks, I think that the Rams. I think it's a close game. I think the Rams beat them. It's going to come down to a field goal. I think Philly's the better team. Don't get me wrong, but I think two back-to-back West Coast games takes a toll on the players.
All right, Seattle, Jacksonville. Who do you have?
I want to take Jacksonville, but I'm not going. I'm going to take Seattle.
Okay, I agree. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Who do you have?
Baltimore.
I'm taking Pittsburgh. We obviously, Patriots Nation praise, Baltimore beats them.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's
sure,
what I'm taking.
Sure. New England, Miami, that's an easy one. New England all the way. All right.
Yeah.
So last thing before I go. Eli Manning had a quote 42 minutes ago. Or no, it wasn't 42 minutes ago. When was it? It was, the hell was it? 1 hour ago, Jordan Rannon from ESPN, he's ESPN staff writer. Apparently Eli Manning said, quote, "I have great respect for Coach McAdoo. Don't think this was his fault."
I don't believe it was his fault either. I think McAdoo, look, as we know, especially in our business, when things are going right, all this stuff gets when you're winning, all this stuff is pushed to the side. When you're losing, everything is magnified, especially in New York. I think McAdoo was hung out to dry. But, at the end of the day, he's laughing all the way to the bank. They still owe him a lot of money, and he's going to have a job next year. So I think in a couple weeks, when the Giants, put the season to rest, I think, once they get a new head coach, all this is going to be gone and forgotten, but they're still going to be paying McAdoo a pretty penny.
All right, man. Thanks for obviously for being here. See you tomorrow, man.
All right, later.
All right, guys. It is Week 14 in the NFL for the remaining rest of the season. We should be back to the normally scheduled program, even though I said that last week. It should be this week. Other news real quick. I'm still trying to work on Scratch Ticket Thursday, episode 100. Like I said in the previous Thanksgiving special, it may be mid-December, but most likely we'll do a Christmas special and then and a New Year's special. And then after that, we'll get back to our regular Scratch Ticket videos. I'm on vacation starting Monday, the 11th, and that runs until the 17th. So I will be doing a lot more videos. Stay tuned also for more Kingdom Hearts videos, as well as video game and movie pickup videos. I plan on going, if not tomorrow, I plan on going to Springfield next week. Maybe we can meet up. If you guys are from that area and you want to hang out or whatever the case may be, let me know. I'm going to go to Holyoke and actually go to the Video Game Castle to pick up some stuff. And then there's an FYE also in Springfield. They closed the FYE in Albany. I'm pissed. There's another one in Albany, but the big one with all the movies. So if you guys are in the Holyoke, Springfield area and you know of any store that sells a shit ton of DVDs, used or new, please let me know in the comment section below. And stay tuned for more videos on the channel, guys. Thanks for watching.